This is going to be a tricky conversation, but you could make the same argument about abortion. And I know that, you believe that it is murder. However, I hold the view, and I want you to trust in me in the sense that you don't think that I would be very cool with, like, murdering babies. So when I say I think abortion,
it's your view, it's not a baby.
It's not a baby. It's not
I understand.
sentient yet.
Yeah. You don't consider that to be a human life. Well, you consider scientifically. You consider it scientifically to be human life, but you don't consider life to begin until there's some sort of cognitive sentience or something like this, right?
Yeah, something to that degree. I think it was it St. Augustine that said, when it starts to kick, that's when it's a person, something like that. I think that abortion and birth control, because women are, very much encumbered by our physical forms, our biological capacity to have children, I think that the only way we can have equality is to have access to birth control and abortion, so that we can participate in the economy the same way men can. So when men vote against women's interests and can force us to carry children and destroy our avenue to freedom, financial freedom, financial independence, it strikes me the same way as the draft does to you. I feel like that's...
Yeah, I understand.
Yes.
Here's something interesting, though. Mm-hmm. Let's just start with this, because I think we should get our terms correct here.
Okay.
When you say force, right, nobody actually forces you to have a child, even if you can't abort it. Isn't that actually the case? Nobody's actually forcing you to do that. The case is that you're using what's called an ambiguous equivocation, which is a fallacious form of argumentation. The equivocation is that you would have us believe, through the nebulousness of the language of the term force, that somebody is using some type of physical compellence to make you do a thing, when in fact the truth is that they're not doing that at all. You're just simply not allowed to do a thing. That's different than forcing you to do a thing.
I mean,
so like,
a law that says I cannot drive in the left lane, or I cannot drive, I don't know, I can't go 100 miles per hour on the highway.
Yeah.
Yes, I can technically do it, but there will be consequences. Most likely me probably dying in a horrible accident.
Yeah, so is a red light, do you think that a red light is force?
No, but there's consequences.
But it's not force. And that's the same thing here. You have a law, but there's no force that's being used.
Technically, no one's forcing you to go to war. You could choose prison. What is it? What is the term for abandoning?
Desertion?
Desertion. Yeah, you could desert. Like, you aren't technically being forced to do so. You could take the penalty for not signing up for the draft. You could refuse the draft.
The penalty for draft dodging can be you get shot. That's a little bit different than...
Is that the case?
That's the case, yeah.
Because there were a lot of people that dodged the draft.
And they were given immunity, basically, from the government. They pardoned them. But it's not just imprisonment. If you do desertion, for instance, you can be shot. And they shot people for desertion all the time. People were shot for deserting their post.
Well, you're still not being forced to do it.
My search here just on this topic, in the USA, desertion is a serious offense, and the penalty for desertion during a time of war can be death, though other punishments like imprisonment are possible.
Okay, what about draft dodging? And what happens if you refuse to sign up for the draft? You can't vote? Is that essentially...
You can't vote, you can't buy a gun. There's other penalties associated with it too. Which have to do with tax filing.
You're not being forced to do it. There will be severe consequences, but you technically don't have to sign up for the draft. No one's forcing you to. No one's holding a gun to your head and saying, you must sign it.
Do you want the penalties for draft dodging?
Yes.
It can include federal felonies like fines up to $250,000 and or up to 5 years in prison for failing to register. Other consequences like state level restrictions on things like college eligibility or driver's licenses can occur. And I believe there's some preclusion from receiving federal student loans and preclusion also from certain federal jobs.
Yeah, so I understand the argument you're making. The argument for equivalency here is, wait a second, nobody's forcing you to do this, to go off to war or something like this, right? I guess my argument there would be pretty easy, which is that this is outside of your control. Drafting is outside of your control.
Yeah.
Having a child is not outside of your control for almost any woman who's ever been pregnant. They're almost always pregnant, and that's within their control.
Yes.
And so I don't think that men, given the punitive punishment of years in prison for felonies or potentially being shot for desertion, even if they do go, or having the penalty raised for draft avoidance if we needed men, which would probably be, again, you'd probably get shot. I don't think that these are equivalent statements because, one, you are being voted and force is to be used in order to compel you to do these things. Nobody's compelling you to get pregnant. Nobody ever forces you to get pregnant. Well, unless it's SA, right? But the thing is like, it does, but it's not, it doesn't account for the majority of cases, the overwhelming majority of cases. And if it were the case that you argued to me, but in the case that I am forced, right? What about then? I think that you would be able to negotiate that out with the other side. I think they would be willing to say, in cases of SA, of incest, of things where force and compellence was used, they have said many times that they would be willing to negotiate that out if it stopped all other abortions.
Right.
But the left, so that's not really your argument because you want women to have that regardless.
Well, the issue with that is that getting someone charged with SA, I'm sure you would agree, is a tedious and can be a very long process. So how would that work? If, let's say, I was SA'd and I became pregnant and I showed up to Planned Parenthood in a state where, well, I guess they're closing the Planned Parenthoods, and I said, I need an abortion, I was SA'd, and they go, okay, we need the paperwork to prove that you were SA'd. I could potentially be looking at months, maybe even years of trying to prove that I was, SA'd. And in the meantime, I would be pregnant, and then I would reach a point where an abortion would not make any sense.
Well, let's even assume that you were able to negotiate this out in such a way where if you just made the claim that you were SA'd and named whoever the victimizer was, and you were in the process of that, then you could still get the shmishmortion. But if it was determined that you were lying or made it up, then there was some sort of criminal penalty towards you.
But what happens, do you think that every time a charge is dismissed, that means that the accused is innocent?
No.
Because I think a lot of the time people who do things
by
like
that same argument, then I have reason to doubt the SA standards, because do you think that if a person is convicted, that that means that they're guilty?
No.
Well, then if that's the case, then we have, so all we can do then is go off of data, unless it's questionable data, right? What else can we do? Because the idea here of you just saying, well, they may be innocent, it's like, okay, well, then that person who was convicted of SA may be not guilty, right? He may be innocent, and the person who's innocent may actually be guilty. It's hard to say. But in this case, if you went and you filed this, right, let's just say somehow we got it to where you could actually move through the system very quickly in order to get this abortion if it was proven that it was due specifically to rape, right? Great, got that. But that's not really what you want, right? You want unfettered access to abortion by every woman, don't you?
Yeah.
So it has so any of these arguments, the micro nuanced arguments, which are around rape and incest, don't really matter that much, because ultimately that
I do have a lot of concerns about that being the process of having to prove this to get that exemption. I do genuinely, not out of self-interest, but out of, fear for other women and girls.
Yeah, but assuming assuming that that was a possibility that we could expedite such a process quickly.
Yeah,
right?
I would still want abortion to be
Yeah, so then who
accessible
cares?
to
You're
everyone.
arguing over something that's almost inconsequential in comparison to the overwhelming amount of abortions which are done, and they're done as a form of birth control.
I mean, they're not frequently done.
Yeah, they're frequently done. They're not rare.
No, they're not rare.
And they were
It's
always,
like
we
a
were
once
promised
in a
they were going to be
lifetime-
rare, but they're not rare.
Once in a lifetime occurrence. Actually, Brian, could you Google
Sure.
what percentage of women have an abortion in their lifetimes? Because again, it is a form of birth
Mm-hmm. I think it's
control.
over 40%
Yes.
of women have one.
Yeah, but are they having abortions every year, or are they having one?
I have it. According to well, that doesn't matter. An estimated 24.7% of women in the United States will have an abortion by the time they are 45.
Okay.
And that translates to approximately 1 in 4 women.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
not quite
it's-
as high as I thought.
Yeah.
But 1 in 4 is still fucking high.
But I don't think that most people get repeat abortions. It's usually, the cases of that, I think, are fairly rare. Brian, I don't know if you
Why?
can fact check.
But why does like frequency here matter?
Well, 'cause
It's still
if we're
being used
talking
as a
about-
form of birth control.
if
That's
we're
the
talking
truth.
about a birth control, and we're thinking about, like birth control is typically something you have to use every time you engage in intercourse, or it is some sort of hormonal thing that you are, using all the time. What I'm saying is that abortion, it's this idea of it as like comparable to the pill or to a condom is,
Well, it's comparable only in the way that it's being used as a form of birth control.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's preventing a birth, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's comparable to birth control because that's what birth control is doing, preventing a birth.
Yes, but it's a painful, traumatic process that most people do not want to undergo. It's like a last resort,
But
It happens.
yeah, and as a form of birth control. So like
yeah.
that's and the most common forms of abortion are forms of birth control. So the thing is like almost all women have an abortion not because they're SA'd or because of incest or their life is at risk, but because they use it as a form of birth control.
Well, it's because the birth control that they were using failed, typically.
So now they use this other form of birth control.
Yes.
I think we're saying the exact same thing here.
Sure,
I don't feel
yeah.
like we're even speaking past each other. So the thing is like, that to me that's fucking insane, first of all. Like, why would you even want to advocate for a society in which female hormonal birth control is even a thing anyway? It fucks women up. Like, it fucks them all up.
I mean,
It makes them all mental and fucking crazy and fucking retarded and all kinds of shit.
I mean, it really depends on the woman. I do think that hormonal birth control, by and large, horrible. But there are women who, when I was 14, sorry to TMI, but I got my period and I got it for 2 months straight. And so to fix that, I was put on birth control for a while to balance that out so that I was not bleeding every single day of my life. And then I was taken off of it. There's
Maybe
women
we
with
can-
like PCOS.
Maybe
who-
we can find common ground here. Hang on.
Okay.
Maybe we can do it this way. You want women to not have to have unwanted births.
Yes.
That's what you're after, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think every child should be
I propose that if you take away birth control, hormonal birth control, and you take away condoms, that women will actually have less unwanted children because they'll have less sex. Because that equals pregnancy. And my proof for this is that we can go back to a time not that long ago before we had hormonal birth control and condoms, and there was way less unwanted babies being born than there are right now when we have all those things.
That was also, I think society expected you to have a child. However, I will concede. So I did a debate, like I think last month, about do abortion laws meaningfully decrease abortions? And what I saw from the data is that after abortion restrictions are in place, there is a small spike in births, but then it starts to decline at the same
Rapidly.
rate. And then in the surrounding states, abortions go up. So yes,
It does work.
I guess it does work, but I mean that sucks
because you want to fuck.
Well, I mean, okay, you're a married man.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the
Presumably,
thing.
you don't want, 10 baby Wilsons running around. That's a lot of mouths to feed. Oh, sorry. Like, presumably, married couples don't want to be at risk for having children all the time, especially as a woman grows older and the risk to her body becomes more extreme, where she could miscarry or, die in the attempt. Right? Like, wouldn't we want birth control to be accessible?
I mean, there's other alternatives, right?
I guess the pull-out method could work.
No, there's other alternatives to that too. Like women, if they've had 4 kids, they often have their tube tied, right?
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
That's pretty common because their health is at risk at that point.
Yeah.
Or there could be a
The father could
possibility.
get the vasectomy.
Yeah, I've had 7 children. They have a vasectomy. Though it's frowned on in religious practices, right? The tube.
Really?
Yeah, of course. But the tubes being tied, though, that's not right. That's for the health and the welfare of the mother. So it's like there's other alternatives if you want to stop having children after you've had them. But the most common way in which we could probably reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies is to stop fucking each other.
Oh, well, and then the amount of children. Well, I mean, sure, why not? But I also think that there will be more STIs spreading,
There'll be
which
less.
is not good.
How could there be less or more STIs if there's less sex?
Because the people who are having sex are having unprotected sex. And it would most likely be...
Yeah, but there's going to be less people having unprotected sex because they don't want kids. That's the whole point.
So gay men cannot get pregnant. And
yeah, but gay men...
That's my concern.
Gay men rarely use any of that stuff anyway, or if they do, because of the nature of what it is that they do, their STI rates are like 5 times... No, I think they're higher than that. Can you look up, in comparison to the normal population, how high it is... gay STIs, they're like, it's an astronomical difference.
Well, I mean, if you combine the male libido with no risk of pregnancy in both parties, men typically have much higher libidos.
But if you combine...
That's what happens.
But this is the problem here.
Crazy with each other.
With promiscuity and sex and this type of thing, it's the same exact thing. You combine man-woman now with no risk of pregnancy, and you end up with a promiscuous society. Our STIs are higher than they've ever been in history.
Do you think promiscuity is bad?
Yeah, of course. It's terrible. Terrible idea. It's just a terrible idea for the promotion of society. I mean, just not even just STIs, which are just at an all-time fucking high again. They're like...
Are they really?
I think they're higher than they've ever been. Again, we can look that up, but they're extremely high.
I do have the...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, do you want to... I do have the statistic really quick. A 2018 study found a 35% STI positivity rate among gay and bisexual cisgender men compared to 15% for heterosexual cisgender men.
Yeah.
Way fucking
that makes
higher.
sense. Yeah,
Way
yeah,
higher.
And of course, like I said, it's because no risk of baby, 2 men with very, very, very high
And then
libidos.
can you check on if the STI rates on the general population have been
Can we
steadily
make sure
increasing?
it's by age, though? Because I do know that there's like STI booms in elderly homes, like senior citizen
That's because they're
homes.
being sexually assaulted.
It's mostly because they're having sex with each other.
No.
I have 2...
Because of elder, I'm telling you.
I mean, elder abuse
bad.
super duper real.
Yeah.
Super duper real, but...
2 data points here for you, really quick on the first one from before. The syphilis rate for gay and bi men was 309 cases per 100,000, while for heterosexual men, it was just 2.9 per 100,000. Much higher rate. And then the general STI rate over time, it says overall in the U.S., the STI rates have seen a substantial increase over the past decade. If you want, I can find you going back further.
Well, they've been increasing because people have a lot more promiscuous sex with multiple partners.
But my generation is having, like, I don't know if you've seen that stat. My generation is having less sex than older generations, correct? Gen Z
not
is
the women.
like less.
Not the women.
Do you want
just
me
the
to
men.
look it up?
Yeah, yeah,
It's basically
especially
just the
by-
men who are having less sex. Women are having tons of sex with
Most
the
of the
same
women
5
I
men.
know are like nuns.
Huh?
Most of the women I know are like nuns.
Well, that's nice. I guess. But the case of the matter is, or the fact of the matter is that, yeah, they're promiscuous. There's a lot of promiscuity. It's led to a huge increase in STIs. Not just that, but that's where all the unwanted pregnancies come from anyway, and why you have all these abortions. And the same reason that you see them decrease exponentially and unwanted pregnancies decrease exponentially after abortion's outlawed is for the same reason. If we got rid of birth control, you would see unwanted pregnancies decrease rapidly, because people wouldn't be fucking if they thought it was going to lead to a kid. You might see herpes increase, though. Mouth herpes. Yeah. Probably mouth herpes increases a bit, but...
and stuff in the butt.
Still better than the alternative. And so the thing is like, I don't see how that's liberating society or helping society at all. Well, you know, what you're advocating for. It seems to me like we're back to the limit debate. Is it the case that we can limit behaviors in society for the good of society, just like you did with COVID? I think we can, and I think it's fine.
I don't think that limiting abortion benefits society.
I mean, how does it not? It seems to significantly benefit society. We have less abortions. That's great. Right. The whole point of abortion is you want to get rid of unwanted pregnancies. We're giving you a way to have unwanted pregnancies go away. Right. And they do go away. The unwanted pregnancies drastically decrease. So it's like, what?
I mean, people are still going to get pregnant, though, because people are still going to have
yeah, but I mean,
sex.
we can't. Here's the thing, though, right? It's like, we're not going to be able, it's like murder. Like, people are still going to murder, you know? Like, there's nothing, there's still going to be people who do the thing, but for the overwhelming majority of people, they don't.
You see abortion as something that is innately bad, while I see it as something innately good. Because, again,
it's good in and of itself?
I mean,
so
what it means.
Should a woman get pregnant just to go have an abortion?
No, that's crazy.
All right, again, but is it bad?
To get pregnant, just
to go have an abortion.
I think it's weird.
Is it bad?
I would question that person's
But is it bad?
Is it bad? I mean, probably. It's a drain on resources.
That's it?
That could go to other people.
They pay for it.
Well, yeah, but it's a waste of everyone's time.
How? Everyone's getting paid.
Everyone's getting, but then, you know, women who are...
Like, what? How could that possibly be a worse waste of resources than, oh, I had a gangbang last night and got knocked up with this? How's that not even just as much of a waste of resources as a chick who's like, well, I'm just going to go and have sex in order to get pregnant to go have an abortion for fun? Like, how is one more of a drain on resources than the other?
Because one of them is crazy. I don't know. This is
They're
weird
both
scenario.
fucking crazy. They're both fucking crazy.
Have you heard of women intentionally getting pregnant to have an abortion? Because I don't know if you know this.
I don't. But that's not the point of the question.
Medical abortions are
but the point of the question isn't to determine if there's...
It's like breaking your leg to go to the doctor.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah,
that's an insane.
That's great, but the point of the question is, like you said, that they're just inherently good. And it's like, if that's the case, then if a woman just got pregnant to go have one, she's doing something good.
No, that's not what I mean.
Then they're
what
not
I mean
inherently
is like
good.
What they provide for women.
No, you just...
In the sense that it provides our...
you just mean the outcomes are good.
Yes, the outcomes are positive, sure.
Yeah,
yes,
but
the outcome is that women
which ones? Which positive... Because if I can give you more positive outcomes for what you want, which is less kids who are being born that parents don't want... It seems like I provide that society better than you do with abortion. So, like, what outcomes here? What outcomes are better from your view that you're providing that I'm not?
Well, again, when I talked about the abortion statistics, abortions did go up in surrounding states. So
that's
again,
because they were legal there. Come on.
Well, yes, but what I mean is that the people who were having abortions in those states left to rather than get them in the state where it's illegal.
No, they didn't.
They got more abortions.
So only some did. And they still ended up going down, right?
No, abortion rates went up, I believe.
Where? Only temporarily and then dropped.
No, birth rates went up temporarily and then dropped.
Yes, birth rates, yes.
Yeah.
So unwanted births.
But in the surrounding states...
Yeah, they go up.
Abortions did go up.
Yeah, but they don't go up by the same amount as the predictive abortions in the state would have been. So, like, let's say the state had 50 abortions a day. You don't see the state next to it now increase by that same 50. You might see an increase by like 20 or 15 a day. You know what I mean? That's more realistic to what it is. So it does reduce abortion and it reduces unwanted pregnancy. And the whole idea of abortion, from your view, is getting rid of the unwanted pregnancy, I thought. That's the point. So if we have a way in which we can have, it sounds like you just basically are like, I just want people to be able to fuck. That's what it sounds like you.
I mean, I think it comes from a place of understanding that people will fuck.
But they don't, though. They don't seem to. It seems like if abortion's not available to them and unwanted pregnancy, right, is still not there, the birth rates are not increasing, then how do you account for that?
Do we want a sexless nation?
It's not a sexless nation. There's still plenty of people who are married and fucking and having children at the right times. But I kind of do think.
About, like,
but wait.
men,
Yes.
though?
Actually, yes. Do I want a nation in which promiscuous sex is gone? Yeah, kind of. Like, what? Can you tell me what's great about it? Tons of STIs everywhere. The STI rate increases, right? The fact of the matter is that you have women who have been, screwed by 20 or 30 men, and men who have screwed 20 or 30 women. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's very good for the moral fabric of your society or for your society at all. And so it's like if we can get rid of the thing you want, which is the unwanted pregnancy, and it seems like the unwanted pregnancies decrease when you get rid of abortion anyway. It sounds like it's like a big winner here.
So we have like an entire incel movement that I think has been labeled a domestic terrorist threat, in the sense that
By fucking liberals, it has. I wish that we could label Feminist as a domestic terrorist organization.
Would you deny that there have not been, mass shooters motivated by
Do you deny that trans ideology has motivated mass shooters? Do we label them as being domestic terrorists?
No, I think no,
we don't.
But that's different. That's like an identity rather than a problem to be solved. I think that...
Wait, what? No, it's a problem to be solved, or else they wouldn't become trans to begin with. They have a problem, and they're trying to solve it. It's not just a matter of identity. It's a matter of problem solution.
Medication and surgery and whatnot. Whereas, like, involuntary celibates, I just feel like...
Involuntary celibates also, if it's a problem to be solved, they get buff and fuck a chick. And it's same shit, right? You have a problem, you're solving it. Just like the trans are having a problem, they're solving it. That's, from your view, isn't that the same thing?
Then why are all the men on the internet complaining that they are loveless and can't find women? And
so are women. They just do it at a different age. See, women in their 20s, they don't complain too much because, if you go right now and you show a picture of your ass on the internet, you're going to have 20,000 guys who go, oh my God, my lady, it's the greatest thing ever. And that stops when you get older. Stops when you're 40, 45, 50, that validation starts going away. So women in those age brackets have huge loneliness epidemics as well. It's just, that's the case, right? So it just happens to them at different times in life. And then men who get older, less lonely, the older they get. Why? Because they have resources and they start fucking young women. That's how it works.
Well, I think that also, that would depend upon what the woman has done with her life. My mother had no shortage of suitors who were wealthier than her and typically younger than her up until her 50s. And all of her friends seemed to do pretty well in their old age.
But your anecdote aside,
anecdotal,
there is it is true there's a male loneliness epidemic crisis, and we are... we do hyper focus on that,
right?
But the truth is that it's the case for women too. If the men are lonely, then, and there's as many women as there are for men, right? Then shouldn't, by the power of inference here, we determine that if the men are lonely, the women also would be lonely?
But you just said that young women have far more opportunities. So we're talking about different age ranges.
Yeah, it's because
right?
Younger women are basically all fucking the same few handfuls of men through hypergamy.
So what we have is an issue here where young women, have many choices. Young men have very few.
Well, they have choices of who to sleep with, not necessarily who to be with.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about with young men is like the young men who just can't get laid at all, which I don't think is a huge amount, by the way. And by the way, you see a lot of young men moving towards traditional churches, and that's another reason why you see the celibate rate going up.
I personally doubt the sincerity of the movement towards those churches, just based
Why?
on. I feel that, so I was raised very, very, very religious, but I was raised by a father who was raised atheist, converted after my parents divorced, and he later told me, yeah, I thought it was all BS. Like, I was never actually into it. It was just kind of something I needed at the time. And I do feel that people who are raised without a strong religious influence growing up, it causes me to doubt the sincerity of their conversion, because I often feel like they don't believe it. What they want is a community, or they want some sort of moral high ground, so to speak. Because that's been my experience with converts. I've had friends who converted to Christianity
I don't
and later
disagree,
were like, well,
but I don't disagree. Yeah, there's some.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And if they're not abiding
look, I
by
don't
it-
think that's the. I don't think the majority of people are converting over to Christianity, especially rigorous traditional churches, just for the community. I think that some may be doing that, but it doesn't seem likely that it would be the vast majority of them.
It's just it's an attitude that I've seen encountered in a lot of younger men, where they'll kind of lionize Christianity and traditional churches, but the way that they live is not Christ-like at all.
Maybe it's a good time for super chats, Brian. I'll have a smoke, and then we can get back to actual feminism here. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yep, no
Oh,
problem. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like we're getting off into the weeds about
a little bit.
about shit that doesn't matter really. It has nothing to do with anything. So kind of back to feminism. Is the whole reason you're a feminist so that you can have abortion, or is there other reasons?
Well, I actually have a list of
Yeah, let's go through those.
ways that feminism, I mean, if we're talking about me personally, well, the 19th Amendment, women can vote.
Yeah, what's so great about voting anyway?
I like to have at least a little bit of a voice in a country that I am paying taxes to and intend to spend the rest of my life in.
So it is about power, personal power.
Yes, I would like to have as much say. If I'm putting as much into society as someone else, I think
Well, then
that
I guess
ought
it
to.
does matter, to contradict your earlier point that voting didn't really matter when it came to war. It appears that you think it does because,
I said a small amount of power.
well, a small
I
amount
can
of
have
power
a small amount
collectively,
of power.
small amount of power collectively over a gender can mean a large
Yeah,
amount
but
of power.
we don't vote to send people to war. We're not given the vote. The president decides.
You get to vote for the president.
Well, yes, but I mean, we can't necessarily trust that every
And you get to
president
vote
who
for-
says we're
by
not
the
going to
way,
send someone to war.
It's
and
not
that
the
they
president,
do.
it's Congress who gets to authorize
All right,
war.
well,
But the
you know.
president himself, yes, he has a lot of power to mobilize troops for police actions and things like
Yes.
that. But that aside, what's the next issue?
Birth control and Roe v. Wade. Obviously, we talked about that. I want the freedom to, I suppose, like someone who has glasses. I want the freedom to have the things about my body that potentially inhibit my ability to participate in society. I want to be able to mitigate those things with medicine and technology. And then Equal Pay Act, I want to be paid the same as someone who's doing the same work. I think that's a positive.
Do you think that, well, first of all, how much do you think the difference is? The difference is between, even if we were really charitable to the idea of a wage gap, what do you think the difference really is between wages?
Well, I mean, there's a law against that. There's a law that was passed, so that's what I'm referring to. However, the wage gap isn't based on, it's not like you work at a company and, I don't know, you're employee one, I'm employee two, we both started working at the same time. They're not like, oh, because you're a lady, you make 71 cents on his dollar. I do believe that the wage gap refers to
Well, backing,
the
okay.
difference in the average salary.
Yeah, so we're not
amount.
talking about
Yeah.
a wage gap. We're talking about you want legislation which equalizes wages.
Yeah, equalizes wages if you're doing the same job with the same amount of experience. It's equality.
So doesn't that limit the freedom and authority of the owner of the business?
To screw people over?
Yeah.
Again, I think
No,
that
wait.
when it
How
comes
could you be
to-
screwing someone over if you make an agreement with me for the amount that I'm willing to pay you for a job? how are you being screwed over?
I mean, I think if you're, making that decision on the basis of someone's immutable qualities, such as sex or race, I think that that's pretty. Is that not unjust?
No. Why is that unjust? Why
Because
can't
they're doing the same work.
Yeah, so what? Why can't business owners have preferences about what they want? So, like, for instance, let's say you had a business owner who's like, yeah, I don't want to hire you just because you're a woman. Like, why isn't that their business?
Because I don't think that people should have the freedom to screw over other people.
You're not screwing them over. They're asking you for your resources. You're not asking them for theirs. You're trying to screw them over.
The guy who, do you think that, a company is just its head? I mean, workplaces aren't run only by a manager. Its staff is what keeps the place going.
Well, it depends on how big the business is, for one.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that even if it is a large business, it should be up to the propriety of the owner. He has access to all the capital, and all of those managers and employees are asking him for his capital. He's not asking them for this.
The employees are the ones that are making that capital for him with his guidance.
Wait
they
a
are
second.
producing that capital.
No, they didn't risk any capital. They risked no capital, and so they don't get what he gets. That's the big problem you socialists always have. If you don't risk capital, you don't get to gain. Like, you don't get to be like, I happen to be working here when that guy risked all of his fucking money, and he made a bunch of it, and so now I get a portion of it. That's not how the world works.
I mean, you're talking about small businesses.
Small businesses is the same thing, and big business is the same exact thing. You're still risking money that ain't yours, so you don't get to benefit from that. That's how that works. You have to risk your own money for that. And so the thing is like, yeah, it seems like you have people who are asking for economic opportunities from somebody else, and they're getting mad when they won't give it to them. And it's like, how's that not their business, though? It seems like it's totally the business of the owner.
I guess you can have, you could do that. You could look down on your employees and consider them to be people that are you're doing a favor for, rather than skilled workers that you're hiring.
I'm not even sure it's a favor. I think that's the wrong wording. Like, it's not a favor.
Because someone can open a business, but if they don't have anyone to work in it, like, what is the business then? Yes, they risk the money.
Well, people have small businesses all the time, and just they run it. It's only them.
Yeah.
And then most often when they hire an employee, that employee doesn't have anywhere near the responsibility or risk that the owner has.
No, of course, I'm not saying they make the same amount, but a fair wage for the same amount of work.
But that should be determined by the employer, what that fair wage is, not by the state. The state, by the way, the state can't even do it anyway. They don't have any understanding of markets at all. So the thing is like, just saying, like, I'm trying to figure this out. A woman comes in, or even better, right? A Christian comes in and a Muslim, and I say, okay, well, I'll hire you because you're a Christian and not you because you're a Muslim. What's actually the immoral proposition here? Why is that actually wrong to do? I've never understood that argument. It's always seemed to me like it's fine. They're both asking me, the person, for something. Why can't I tell them to go fuck themselves? And I only want you because I prefer you and don't prefer you. And it is based on an immutable characteristic, and who cares? Fuck you, fuck your immutable character. I don't like it. So get it out of here.
Well, I would like to work towards a world in which our immutable characteristics don't determine how much we value someone.
But that's just pie in the sky bullshit, isn't it? Like, if you have a humpback.
I think we've done a good job at working.
No, we haven't.
My God, if you look at where America was when we were founded, I mean, there was Black Americans were enslaved, and now we are, legally equal. That is certainly a lot better. That is certainly a lot of progress made.
Yeah, but we're talking about two different things. I'm not talking about the proposition of slavery. Maybe the proposition of being able to hire who you want and allocate your resources to people with whom you want to. Like, for instance, you're not going to hire a hunchback, or a person who has like super bad arthritis to solder things. You're probably not going to hire them. You're probably going to stay away from those people. And you're like,
there's physical requirements for jobs sometimes.
Right. But the thing is like, that's still. When you break it down, you start getting into these micro preferences, right? Like, if it's the case that you just don't like a person, because they just offend your delicate sensibilities in some way.
Well, technically, you don't have to hire them. You just can't be like, hey, I didn't hire Andrew because he's a white guy. Like, you just have
So
to
just
be like,
lie
you
about
just
it? So you just lie about it?
That's what they do.
Yeah. So
That's what they do.
So then doesn't it just
Yeah.
sound like it's just an unenforceable virtue signal? Just unenforceable nonsense? So like I could
would
be like,
say-
look, I only have a male staff because those are the most qualified people.
I think that if you can prove that you were being discriminated against on an immutable quality, this is for workers to be able to, bring this to court, which
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you can prove that, you should be able to bring it.
Yeah, but why? Like what's the actual proposition here? You own a business, you have all of those resources, they all belong to you. All of them belong to you. And somebody comes in and wants them, and you just don't like their fucking face, and it doesn't matter why. You don't like them because they're black, they're white, they're Muslim, they're women, they're men, whatever the fucking reason is, right? Why isn't that completely and totally up to the business owner? Why shouldn't that be completely left up to them who they want to hire and who they don't want to hire?
Well, I think that many businesses take out loans from the state, correct? Like PPE loans. And I
No,
think
most
that
of
if
it's
you-
private equity.
All right. Well, I think if you're going to take out loans, as in a lot of the time use other people's money, I think a lot of people would be upset if the money that they loaned you was not,
They don't give a shit. Lenders just want their money back and the interest. They don't care about your practice. They
well,
don't
again,
care.
but like I think you need to adhere to the law if you're borrowing money. Otherwise, then it's like,
Yeah,
"My
I'm
God,
saying
what if your business
I'm saying
gets
that I
sued?"
want to repeal the law. I think it's an immoral proposition to tell people what they can do with their money. I think that that's immoral. So I'm giving you the proposition, right? My worldview, it's completely immoral to tell business owners that they have to serve people that they don't want to serve and that they're not allowed to have the hiring practices that they want. Like it's totally their
Well,
business.
this isn't even about hiring practices. This is about wages. This is paying.
That would
someone the
all
same
be
amount.
hiring practices, right?
Right, because
Because don't you get a salary on being hired?
I mean, it depends. You could have minimum wage or a salary. Like I don't. what do
That
you
would still be your salary would then be minimum wage. But at being hired, your hiring practice would be the salary negotiation, right?
mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is like I have never again I
Well, this is
claim I make the
law
counterclaim.
comes from the fact that employers would pay women less to do the same amount of work.
But I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And I'm fine with it being the opposite. I actually see that as the more moral proposition. If it's the case that it's yours, you get to do what the fuck you want with it because it's yours. And it doesn't matter if that makes a person feel badsy and they're like, well, wait, that's unfair. Fairness isn't an idea of a doctrine when you want something from somebody else. It's not how that works, right?
I'm trying to. This is hard because I don't know if I could ever make a comparison. But you are a Christian.
Yeah.
Does it not make you feel some type of way whenever people discount you or disregard you or exclude you on the basis of your religion?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right, like it feels bad.
Or they call me a bad Christian or they call me this. Yeah, it feels bad. Sure.
It feels bad, and you're like, that's just my beliefs and my religion. It's not harming anyone. I'm just a Christian. Like, it's the same feeling for race and gender. It's like, I'm a competent worker. Why am I not being paid the same amount? Like,
The difference is that it doesn't matter if it hurts my feelings that a Muslim says he won't hire me because I'm a Christian, right? Because it's me who wants the thing from him, right? Now, you could say there's mutual. He wants something from me, too. But if he really wanted something from me, then he would hire me, right? And he's not.
Well, he's hiring you for less.
Well,
Because you're a
he's just not hiring me at all.
Yeah.
Right? But whatever it is, he wants less from me than I obviously want from him, or else we would never be able to come to an agreement on wage. So the thing is like, it seems like a much more immoral proposition to me that you get to determine that if a person has their own private equity and resources and don't want to pay you less just because you're a woman, that seems like it's their business.
I mean, I don't think so. I think that, creates a society where,
Where you
devaluing-
maximize freedom.
devaluing others on the basis of their immutable qualities
Yeah, but you're allowed to devalue others based on their immutable qualities. You're allowed to do that. Isn't that
You're
freedom?
allowed, but you get in trouble for it.
Yeah,
There
but
are
isn't that, well, then
consequences
how
to
is this really, this idea of feminism is about expanding personal freedom. It's like every time I talk to you about a topic, it's just limiting a freedom. Every time I talk to you about any proposition that you consider liberating, it's actually just punishing. It's like, this
Well,
isn't
let me
really
explain
about
to you-
being fair to men and women. It's about punishing people and telling them what they have to do with their own money.
No.